It's your house. You own this. This is your family.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you approach an interview conversation, it's coming at it from that perspective of like, hey, I'm the expert here.
Mm-hmm.
You are a guest and you can make relationships with the people here. And if they're genuine and authentic, you can invite them to your house.
Yeah.
But you are a guest in my house.
Girl, let's just stop right there because that was a whole masterclass right
Thank
there.
you.
It really was. Welcome to the Sold Out Sales Podcast, the podcast that will equip both the seasoned sales professional and the more reluctant seller with mindset shifts and strategies needed to succeed in a competitive marketplace.
The biggest mistake, I guess, with selling on a podcast that I see is that people who host podcasts don't talk about their own offers.
So
we don't know. We don't know what do you actually do?
Yeah.
Right? Like you highlight your guests so much, but we don't actually know, not you specifically, actually you have some great solo episodes where you really emphasize your expertise. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And I learned a lot and I'm like excited about listening to your show, but this is a continued issue that the proverbial you have on a podcast.
I believe that. And to be honest with you, I had to learn that.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's this part of us who feel like it's self-serving to talk about ourselves. You know, it's fine to talk to other people and to showcase their expertise, but talk about ourselves, you know, where do you think that comes from?
Well, you talk a lot about sort of having this service-oriented heart or like a servant-oriented heart, especially bringing your faith into things. And there's such a level of wanting to serve others. So the opportunity to build a platform to lift other people seems like it'd be really true to your heart. And that's true for a lot of people I work with as well.
Right.
Many people I meet with, when I say, why a podcast? Like, what do you want to get out of it? They say, I want to help people. I said, no.
Yeah.
That's what you want them to get out of it.
Yeah.
What do you want to get out of this podcast? Because it's really hard for you to measure ROI if you don't know what it is that you're trying to achieve with your podcast in the first place. So what I like to always say is that if you have a podcast where you ever have guests, so whether that's every episode, some episodes, whatever it is, you need to think of your podcast kind of as your house.
Yes.
They're a guest in your house. And essentially, it's like you've invited me to your family dinner because the people listening to your podcast, you take that seriously, right?
Sure.
Those are your people.
Yeah.
So to invite me in, I can't just show up and start selling stuff as a guest because then I'm like, it's like you invited a door-to-door vacuum salesman to dinner. Like, I'm not doing that, right?
Oh my God.
So actually, it's your house. You own this. This is your family. So then when you approach an interview conversation, it's coming at it from that perspective of like, hey, I'm the expert here. You are a guest and you can make relationships with the people here. And if they're genuine and authentic, you can invite them to your house.
Yeah.
But you are a guest in my house.
Girl, let's just stop right there because that was a whole masterclass right
Thank
there.
you.
It really was.
You know, I love talking about insurance. I love what it does. I love selling it and learning every day. But the fact of like, hey, you want to choose this office as opposed to any other office.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me, and this is a training moment, I think, right here, is that when someone understands their product really well, understands the value that it brings, understands how it serves the client that they're talking to, it gives them a more confident approach to what they're selling. Do you agree with that, or what would you say differently?
Yeah, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, I'm not selling, I'm educating. And you may not need that today.
Yeah.
And I've had several instances, especially life insurance with kids, of a lot of parents are like, I couldn't imagine. No, I don't want you to really imagine, but it can happen. Yeah. And so while they're not ready to have that full conversation or even invest in that, they've allowed me to educate them. And if something happens, they know exactly who to call and have that conversation further.
Oh, I love that so much. What would you say has been your biggest sales flop? When's a time where you might have missed an opportunity or said the wrong thing and can look back on it and say, I'll never do that again?
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. I would say probably missing some signals that the person wasn't even coachable.
Yeah.
And really wanted consulting instead of coaching, like really just wanted to be told what to do and how to do it, instead of really like assessing that they were motivated to be able to receive the coaching that would help them be successful on their own terms.
Wow. That's great.
That I can remember one time that was like that. And you know, this client actually said yes to that invitation.
Of course.
It was challenging because this person, she just really didn't want to be coached. She just wanted to get the answers and really get advice on, to be told what to do and how to do it. And while sometimes I could give advice, and I do give advice sometimes, that's not the majority. That's not the essence of coaching. Coaching is all about lifting the truth, lifting the answers, lifting the clarity, the inner wisdom from someone, helping them believe it, helping them make a decision about it, helping them have a courageous conversation about it, and moving them into action in a way that is coming from inside of them that is sustainable. Yeah. That's the way that we create massive results that the person can feel confident about and, you know, feel proud of themselves. And that's what I stand for in coaching. But yeah, this person said yes, and it was a real challenging time. And we, you know, it wasn't the best.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best arrangement.
Sometimes those are the opportunities you kind of wish you would have blown. So you didn't have to deal with all of the results, but I've been there as well, for sure.
I think people we're told to do this, speak to pain points, right? Like speak to your avatar's pain points, which isn't wrong, so to speak.
Right.
But if everybody is doing that, it becomes harder to break through the noise. Yeah. Also, a lot of people don't want to solve their pain points. So while a lot of us have the same pain points, there's only a few people, like what drives people to actually make a change to solve those pain points. And that actually would be some sort of trigger catalyst, some sort of thing that will drive somebody to take action to actually solve the issues that they're having. And when you can hone in on the catalysts for your ideal clients, that's when you start attracting those high intent buyers that will like not only just want your free products, but they'll actually invest in themselves and invest in your products.
And how do we, you know, identify the difference between that person who is motivated to make that change opposed to the people? It's funny. I think about someone, because I've been on this journey myself. I've lost about 50 pounds in the last year. But for a long time, I was interested, but not motivated. And so there was something that came in my life, a health concern that really got me to the point where I was like, okay, it's enough. And so sometimes I know it has to be something pretty maybe intense or maybe really serious to cause someone to make that change. But when we're talking about the marketplace, how does the average sales professional or entrepreneur identify that person who's really motivated?
Yeah, so we actually research. And so we actually rely on AI a lot to help us with this. Oh. And I know AI can be maybe a 4-letter word to some people sometimes, but I think if you use it strategically, it can really benefit your business.
Yeah.
And so we have developed this, it's a prompt that we use, and I'm happy to share it with your listeners too.
Wonderful.
Where it creates this behavior matrix that will identify, pain points, those catalysts around those pain points, ROI expectations, objections to purchasing, just a whole lot of information, but also the emotions behind that, because tapping into emotion is huge.
Yes.
And also key language behind that as well. So it's a super powerful tool to do that. You can also do research online. We do a combination of both. Talk to your clients. So really honing in on what it was that made them pull the trigger, so to speak, to purchase your product.
Is there anything that you feel like really works for you the majority of the time when you're encountering potential new clients for your company?
Yeah, calling it a sales strategy is so true, but I don't know that I've ever thought of it that way, which like how cool is that?
Yeah.
But it is really taking the time and effort to see and feel things from the client's perspective. Are they brand new in business? Have they never even thought about being an entrepreneur before and this is new?
Yeah.
I'm not going to have a conversation with them that I'm just throwing out entrepreneur lingo and talking like over their head and trying to impress them with how smart I am. I really make an effort to level with my client wherever they are.
Right.
My firm has an absolute no shame policy.
Love that.
That I don't care what you've done legally so far, or if it's nothing at all, there's no shame involved. I would never tell someone, oh, I can't believe, right? And the whole thought is the feeling, not the words, but I just don't want anyone I'm talking to ever feel like I'm trying to place myself above them. We're a team. And I think that actually, like I said, I've never considered it as a sales strategy, but yes, it is. It's part of that sales conversation and it's a relationship strategy.
Right.
And it's a good filter too, because if somebody wants the lawyer that's going to use the big words and baby them, I'm not a good fit.
Right. That's so good. And I think so often as business owners / sales professionals, we tend to not create those parameters well enough to where we can, as much as we want to attract the right client, we also repel the wrong clients. And so we end up with people that we're just like, oh my God, when is this contract over? Because we've attracted someone that we're not the best fit for, sometimes because we feel like we needed it, but other times because we just haven't put it down in writing to understand exactly what we want opposed to what they think they need.
Yeah. I have a word for that.
What do you call
phrase? The most expensive money you ever make.
Oh, girl. Yes. I love that. It's so true. What would you say are your secrets? Is it something that's just innate? Are there processes or systems that you've put in place to be so well or so great at being able to stay in touch and communicate with people and convert new clients, in all honesty?
Yeah. Well, first, it's the golden rule, treat people the way you want to be treated. Yeah. That's number one. Yeah. So first and foremost, so anytime I speak to someone, it's how I expect to be spoken to. Yeah. I personally love getting followed up with on things, even if I'm not ready to buy, I appreciate the, hey, we had a conversation about. And so I like it. So I want to do that to other people. But then it's also having a team. Yeah. And so at the start, it was just myself and putting in the calendar, like follow up, on this date about XYZ, and just making sure you have those personal notes about what is it exactly you're talking about. So it's not just a generic, like popping by, hi, how are you? Right. You want to make those, personal comments. But then once you grow and you're not able to do everything, it is adding a team. And so it's having someone that you can train and let them know, okay, here's the CRM system. Here's where you'll see the notes about the last discussion. Yes. Bring up comments. And then it's training that. And so we've actually, since we're planning on growing even more, have really documented, like, be human. Like we had in our email follow-up document, like, be human. Ask how they are doing. Yes. Like we don't want to just be transactional. So it's really teaching, the admin team who is assisting me with that. I'm like, no, we are human first, and then we talk about the whatever it is, the video shoot, the edit, the whatever.
I love that so much. Have you ever gone to a networking event or a conference and found that although you made great connections and you walked away with a stack full of business cards, you still didn't have a real plan for how to get a good return on your investment of both time and money? Well, let me tell you, having a networking and sales planner is a way for you to be more intentional about the way that you network.
Hey, I'm Susan Gladstein. I'm a functional nutrition and metabolism specialist, and I got connected with Tish because she is a rock star at systems and sales, and so I downloaded the planner to help get my brain organized as I went through a rebrand and launched a new course, and it's really helped me sort of get things out of my head and onto paper so that I can actually do follow-ups and not just rely on my brain. So far it's rocking my world and making my business systems that were non-existent actually have some sort of structure. So I love it. It's amazing. And I'm so grateful that our paths have crossed.
I've been working with sales professionals for almost 15 years. And one of the things that I find is that when they don't have a plan, they do nothing. They sit at their desk and wonder what to do. Well, with this networking and sales planner, you have profit-producing activities for every single day of the week. It tells you where to go, what to say, even gives you prompts as to how to interact with people that you don't know. If you're an introvert and you feel like this isn't for you, I have already thought of you because I understand exactly how introverts think. So this gives you the tools enabling you to be armed with words, with language, so that you can make your networking more profitable.
Hey everyone, Rachel Neighbors here from solo401k.com. And I wanted to take a moment to talk about how awesome this sales networking planner is that Tish put out. So as you can see, I have it on my Remarkable. That's my sort of e-ink planner. And this sales planner has been so helpful for me. So I'm an old school pay-per-click marketer. I do Google ads, Facebook ads, and I know how to turn advertising into profit. But I didn't know how to turn network sales into profit. And when I met Tish, this woman literally wrote the book on networking called, Networking is Not a One-Night Stand. And she's put that experience and that energy and those valuable tips into this networking sales planner. And I just think that it can be so powerful for you in your business. I know it's been really helpful for me and mine. One thing that Tish told me is, Rachel, when you meet someone, put them into your planner and then follow up with them like they're a lead that you've generated on Google Ads or that you followed up with or that you've generated on Facebook. And that has been so helpful and transformative in my business. So thank you, Tish, for this awesome planner.
Maybe you don't even like networking. You say things like, networking doesn't work. Well, let me tell you, when you have a plan in place, you have some intention, and you have the tools to be able to make it work, you will see a different result. My new networking and sales planner is a game changer. It's the difference between you going to an event, wandering around and walking away without any purpose and without any new money, and walking into an event with a plan, with a purpose, and being able to convert new clients into your business. No one wants to feel inauthentic and pushy or even salesy when following up. So frequently we just don't do it at all. Well, the profitable follow-up formula, which is in the back of your networking and sales planner, will give you the tools and the language and the frequency with which you should be following up so that it feels very authentic. It feels genuine and natural both to you and to the people that you're reaching out to. Go to tishtimes.com/planner to get your digital or physical version of your planner.
Hi, my name is Cheryl James from CL James Consulting, and I just want to tell you a little bit about how awesome this networking sales planner is. I started intentionally networking at the beginning of this year, and I have been using my planner on a regular basis, not only to get inspiration, but to track the people I want to meet and the people I have met, and to make sure that I follow up with them from week to week. So if you are looking to network intentionally and hold yourself accountable, this planner is a must-have.
And once you get your planner, you'll also receive a video series that's going to teach you how to maximize your networking and how to use this planner to get the best result and best return on your investment of both time and money. If you are ready to stop wasting time with networking and turn your networking into a sales machine, then go to tishtimes.com/planner and grab your networking and sales planner.
One of the things that I noticed is when you do start tracking data, you start to understand which client you need to let go.
So true. Absolutely.
Like
yes.
this was my bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, yes, but it's no longer aligned with your vision.
Oh my God, yeah. So
and
true.
So for me, I don't know about you, if that's what you see sometimes, even in your own business, maybe I know I've let go of clients that just no longer
they don't
fit the vision.
They just don't.
They did in the beginning, but I've evolved.
I've had clients where the contract was over and I was like, let's have a party. It's over. We're not redoing it. We're not asking. We're just getting to say goodbye because now you understand. So very true.
Yeah.
Same for you.
Wait, yes, and the
the sad story that I see often is that we have smart, talented, driven, grit-worthy entrepreneurs that start to grow. Right. And then they reach this point where it's like, oh, I'm bringing in all this revenue, but yet I still don't have a dollar.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. How am I doing double and not also getting the financial reward?
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah. And the killer of your profits is not having the data to be able to make decisions, to have flags early on to say, hey, you're spending a lot in this area, or to be able to know who to hire and when to hire. Right. A lot of us will be like, oh my gosh, I need a VA, or oh my gosh, I just need so-and-so and it'll fix all my problems.
And it never does. It never does. It creates more problems.
Resources.
I'm going to say this.
Another subject.
Part 2, we're going to talk about pricing. Because what I think happens in the sales world is, again, it's like I can sell it, but there's not enough data to be able to see what we should be really selling it at. I have more people come to me about, problems with their sales, but what they're really having is problems with their pricing. What do you think has been the biggest change in the way that we sell? Because I'd love to hear more about your story as to what you're doing now, but at the end of the day, we're still selling, but we're maybe selling differently. What has been the biggest change in the way that we sell?
Well, another great question. And because it's been decades, I think, not to get too philosophical, but I think that people don't trust each other like they used to. I think there's a lot of, there's just a lot of mistrust. So when you're trying to sell somebody your product, and of course you have to find their pain points. And I mean, you're really selling them a solution, not your product. You're selling a solution. And in my case, I'm selling me, and that's even harder. But if you can't establish the trust, and if people go into it without trust, I've seen a big shift in that. It used to be, people would at least give you the time of day. If you're trying to sell something, and it wouldn't be so difficult to get an appointment. And now just like, it's a very tough profession to be in. And even when you have the most wonderful solution, getting it out there to the right people, is harder. And I do think it's because of the lack of trust.
Yeah, I definitely believe that. I feel like we have to work harder or be more committed to developing that trust now than we used to. Because I remember the days we would get in the car and we would just drive around industrial parks and pop indoors and talk to people, right? Remember that?
I do remember that, and that too. And neither of us is teeny tiny. I'm pretty sure you're taller than me, but I think we were probably a force to be reckoned with,
right?
But I don't remember with you. I actually don't think I've ever been literally kicked out of any place. But, and plenty of reps have, especially if you're trying to get in a secure facility. Right. But I just think that you and I had that charisma, I mean, who wouldn't want to talk to us? That was probably portrayed.
For sure.
Wherever we wanted.
You'd be surprised how many people have sales, quote unquote, sales conversations, go through their entire process, do the whole dog and pony show, really enjoy their conversation. But at the end of the day, they don't actually ask for the sale. And I see it time and time again where people are wondering why either their sales cycle is really long, or they're talking to lots of people and they're not converting very many sales. But when I listen to, and I always ask my clients to record their calls, because it gives us, number one, data. Number two, it helps me to be able to give them feedback as to how they can have a better sales call. And so when I listen to the sales call, even though that person thought they asked for the sale, they didn't clearly ask for the sale. And so clearly asking for the sale, which means that needs to be a process in place where people can actually respond and say, yes, they can sign a contract, they can make a deposit or pay your invoice in full, and they can actually begin your onboarding process. Because otherwise, if it's fuzzy, it's not closing most of the time. How do you think money blocks affect how people sell as entrepreneurs in their business?
Absolutely. So the money blocks, and let me briefly say what is money. And we talk about money oftentimes and what it can bring us: freedom, financial security, etc. That's true.
Right.
And money itself is an exchange of value, and it's an exchange of energetic value. So if we think about money 400 or 500 years ago, it was, they traded things like felts, furs, pelts, spices, maybe tea and coffee.
Right.
Then it was coin, like trading coin, like copper, bronze, gold, silver. And then it was this paper stuff called cash. I still like cash. Then we had checks. You might remember your parents using checks. And these little plastic things called credit cards and debit cards. And now money is right here. It's on our phone.
Yeah.
We just use our phone.
Right.
And in my Whole Foods, I live in Southern California. In my Whole Foods, you can literally put your palm on a device.
Yeah. I refuse, but you can.
And it charges. So, and e-currency, things like that. So money isn't really anything we necessarily hold anymore.
Right.
It's an exchange of energy. And if we break everything down to our smallest particle, it's energy. And if everything is energy, including money, it can be attracted and it can flow. And that's where I got excited. It can be attracted and it can flow.
Yeah.
Now, you asked the question, what gets in the way of entrepreneurs, especially in sales? Well, our past programming, as you know, and have worked with so many salespeople about, and our upbringing has a lot to do with the filters we have around money.
Right.
So I work with people about, okay, first of all, take a look when you were very young, like literally 0 to 10 years old. What were the messages and the modeling you got around money from your family of origin? Your parents, your grandparents, your culture, your aunties, your uncles, your neighborhood. What were those messages? Because if you start diving into what those messages are, you'll start to see some limits that you might have taken on. Yeah. There's also cultural limits. We've all heard the thing, money doesn't grow on trees. Or you have to work really hard for money, or rich people are X, greedy, dishonest, whatever it is.
Right.
So think about it. If I've heard that, whether I heard it from my parents or I heard it just culturally, if I've heard that as a young child, I don't want to be greedy. I don't want to be dishonest. I don't want to be a bad person. So what am I going to do? I'm going to unconsciously block money from coming to me.
Wow. What's the one thing that you think most entrepreneurs are missing that are hindering them from tremendous success?
Sales, obviously. So they all need you. Most of them don't. I mean, I'm not just saying that because I'm on the show. It really is. They don't know how to sell. That's one. And two is the follow up and follow through. I'll say that, 6 more times. You'd be surprised. I have run into so many people where I'm like, yep, send me your stuff and I'll hire you tomorrow. And they just never follow up. Right. And you're like, oh my gosh, there's like a warm, hot lead. Here you go. It's on your plate. And they don't do anything about it. So it's those things and networking, being involved in your community. I say pick 3 things. So a networking group, a nonprofit to support, and an organization to be a part of that, is similar to what you're looking for. If you have that 3 combination and you're in a service-based business, small business, you'll never not have leads.
That's such a I love that. What would you say is the one common thing that most entrepreneurs are focused on that's the wrong thing? So, we've heard people say, make the main thing the main thing, but many entrepreneurs are making the wrong thing the main thing. How do you help, when you see that, how do you help people to focus back to where they really ought to be? What do you think the wrong thing is for the average entrepreneur? And how do you help them to pivot, to focus on the right thing?
I think they're trying to sell too fast, first of all, these days. Yeah. They're trying to go in and here, you've seen all the DMs. We know that. Like, here's my pitch. It's like, whoa, I don't even know where you came from. Right. And even if we do know you, it's still, unless I'm leaning in or raising my hand, you should not be pitching me. Right. Like, so there's that. And then there's, and so it's being comfortable with having a longer sales process, which is not comfortable if you're hurting for cash flow, right? I get it.
but that means you have to talk to more people. So you have more people in the flow, in the process, because most people are not talking to enough people. They're talking to 4 or 5 people, and they're hoping that those people come through instead of talking to 400 people and to try to get 40 of them that might lean in so that the 4 people will actually buy.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
First of all of you all who are listening, now you know why she's here, because we are like right there with each other.
Right there, baby.
I believe everything you said. I love it, love it, love it. What would you say? How can they pivot to really shift the way that they're showing up online and in these inboxes and, the way that they're connecting with people to shift the way people are viewing them and maybe be willing to hear what they have to say?
Yeah, I have two thoughts on that. The first one is you got to slow down.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to slow down the sale. If you are desperate for sales, if you are desperate for money, like this social media game probably isn't for you. It takes time. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I wish I could make you $1 billion today, but it takes time. And it's like a long play.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not a short-term play. So you got to slow it down, and that's going to prevent you from doing those link drops. And the second thing, Tish, that I like to do, and now that we're post-COVID, I hear this so much, is that people love in person. I love meeting people in person, and I love connecting with people in person. It seems so much more authentic. So the mindset I like to get my clients into is try to channel that energy of in person. What would you say if you were in person with this person? Look, if you're on LinkedIn, look at their bio. Maybe they're hosting something. Maybe they were recently on a podcast. Maybe they had a promotion or something. Like, say this to them. Just slow it down a little bit. Don't treat people like they're a cog in your machine, and just treat them like people. And you can make really amazing relationships on social media just by doing that.
One thing, which I highly recommend everybody do, I send a survey to my customers and I ask them, what do you wish we carried? And they came back and everyone said it was rub-on transfers and washi tape. I didn't even know what rub-on transfers were. Okay, right? I had to figure out what they were, find out they don't make them in the United States. That was the first time I had to venture out into manufacturing outside of the U.S., not working with printers. So I had to learn all that. And I ended up launching those. And then it was like August of that year, I launched an idea that I thought, I would like this. I think they would like them. And it was an ornament making kit. I actually brought one for you as a gift.
I'm so excited.
It went like mini viral. I exploded. So prior to that, I think we were sitting at the year, like maybe $200,000. We ended up hitting $500,000 that year.
Wow. So that wraps up season 2. I wanted to share with you all some of my favorite mic drop moments from the episodes that we just completed. I loved them all. We've had amazing guests, but there were just a couple of gems that I thought would really be helpful for you. As we roll into season 3, I want you to just be prepared, because we have some brilliant guests already lined up that are going to rock your world. They're going to change your business. And most importantly, they're going to make you think differently about sales. Thank you so much for rocking with us for 2 seasons so far. Here we go. Next season, season 3. Thanks for listening to the Sold Out Sales Podcast. I would be so appreciative if you would show me and my amazing guests some love by leaving a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Also, go over to tishtimes.com/resource page and make sure you pick up your sales and networking handbook, especially for introverts. Also, I would love to continue this conversation, so make sure you connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'll see you back here next week.